All right, everybody, listen. You know what the deal is with this show. You know what I've been doing for the past couple of years. You know what I'm doing now is I like to bring on people that I like, that I find interesting, that I find charming, that I know you will like as well. And I'm going to bring this is a returning guest who's become even more impressive since the last time he was on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. J.D. Crowe, how are you doing, good sir?
I'm doing great today, S. Anthony. Thanks for having me on again, man. It's I my 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 strategy for going anywhere is I dare them to ask me back again. So I appreciate it.
Well,
Thank you.
well, the main thing is the check cleared, and once that happens,
Well, that's a first on this end.
once that happened, I was like, "Did it clear this time? Okay, we'll bring him back on."
Yeah, that doesn't happen very often.
I know. That's why I was waiting. I said, "Listen, we got to make sure that this double check this and make sure." Now, this is something I've also noticed. Every time you come on this program, right before you come on this program, you win some kind of gigantic award. So I just want to say right now, you're welcome.
Very much appreciated, and your check is in the mail.
I was going to say yes. I know it's all your training and talent, but I like to take credit for
Yeah.
people's work. And
Yeah.
now, what I want to do, I really do. I want to start from the beginning because, when people have a career and it's something that in an artistic realm, usually there's something that makes them do the thing that they're known for. Comedians, actors, writers, cartoonists,
Mhm.
writers. There's we're made out of different stuff, and sometimes you see it in the beginning, and sometimes it pops in later on. When it comes to you, Mr. State Cartoonist, what in the world? Where did this begin? Where did this start?
Well, it really started back when I was a kid.
Mm,
Really, I uh, my the only thing I wanted to do was draw. I was a very quiet, very good kid as long as my mom kept my pencil sharp. So I was seriously, I was drawing stuff before I could talk, and they uh, they would keep me pacified in church. They always kept a lot of paper and pencils around,
mm,
and I was a pretty good kid. So what they found out was my mom when I was about two or three. My older siblings were off to school. My dad was off to work, and my mom was there with me. So she figured out pretty early on that she could tear a brown paper sack open, lay it flat on the floor, and keep my pencil sharp, and I was good to go.
you kind of got
So
lost in it.
I don't know what the hell she could have been. She could have been in another county for all I know, because I was so immersed in drawing these pictures on this brown paper sack. The only time I had a problem was when the pencil got dull and needed to be sharpened again. I didn't even have to say a word. I'd hold the pencil up and she'd come swooping in from whatever she was doing, like Wonder Woman, and take out her old paring knife
Hmm.
and sharpen that pencil, and then she'd be gone again.
Oh, that reminds me. My grandpa used to do that too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm sitting there going, Grandpa, I have a pencil sharpener. No, that's all right.
I like the old case knives and my mom's old paring knife. Now the thing about that paring knife was she'd have all this lead on it from all day of sharpening my pencil, and then at night she'd be
Mm.
at getting ready for supper. She'd be peeling potatoes and everything else with that same knife. So it's a wonder we all didn't get lead poisoning.
I was going to say it might have explained something.
Yeah.
Because it was it literally was the same thing with my grandfather. He would, my grandmother was the same way. They were from down south, so they would just whittle the pencils, and I'm literally going, I have a pencil sharpener. No,
Yeah. No.
they start chopping on it. I go, all right, but
You know,
that's the thing.
you don't get many stories with a real pencil sharpener. If you've got a knife in your hand, you're whittling.
Hmm.
There's stories pouring out, dude.
And yeah, and
You know
also,
that.
I was wondering about that because when you said you're laying on the floor, you got the big piece of paper in front of you, you got the pencil. Now, are you drawing what you see in front of you, or are you drawing what's in your head?
Well, that's both of that. Now, I first started off thinking I was a big Roy Rogers fan, so I was drawing cowboys and horses, and we lived on a farm. So I was drawing the pigs, I was drawing the chickens, I was drawing the horses that on TV. We only had a horse once or twice.
Mhm.
Then later on, I was getting pretty good at that, and I started looking around, and there was at least one point where I must have saw my mom getting ready for doing. She was changing her clothes.
Mhm.
Now she thought I was completely preoccupied with my drawing, so she felt pretty free to walk around as she pleased. And there was at least one time where she was taking off her clothes and putting it in the washer. She didn't think twice about what I was looking at. And later on that night, when my dad got home and everybody was home, they wanted to see the drawings, and a few of them kind of looked very suspicious, like I'd seen somebody naked in the house. And so, I guess by the age of 5, I'd kind of shut down the first unlicensed strip club in my town. It was in my house.
What I'm trying to figure out is, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Upon realizing what the photo was there any whittling of the backside after that?
There was not to me. I don't know if Mom got a spanking or not. She may have.
It's imagine we caught that and drew that. You'd really.
I say that in complete jest. I was brought up in a what many people would consider a very fundamentalist religious home, and so we didn't even say the word naked. It was naked, or we didn't even acknowledge that word. So for me to actually draw something that looked like some nudity, it was quite a scandal.
I mean, I guess that's got to be. I almost wish I had a time machine, just so I can go back and see the moment of recognition on, on the draw. Because I mean, you didn't curse, and there was no cursing in the household. But
no,
even with toe jamming and door slamming and hitting the hand with the hammer, nothing.
Nothing. No, there wasn't any cursing then. They did kid about it a little later on. They said I walked in on them later on. They kidded about it. My favorite thing to watch on TV besides Roy Rogers was some cartoon called The Deputy Dog Show. And I would always exclaim when I saw something I liked, I would yell, "Deputy Dog Show." And so there was one time they said I walked in on them doing something I shouldn't have seen, and I started yelling, "Deputy Dog Show." So that was kind of funny for them to actually acknowledge that happened. So that was pretty funny.
Well, yeah. I mean, you obviously have a good sense of humor. You know, I would say technically a great sense of humor, to be honest with you. But did they have that? I mean, you know, a lot of times the funny people come from funny people.
They actually did. My parents, when I tell people they were, this is truth. They were really come from a very teetotaling, fundamentalist, religious background. The kind of people that said they didn't want to dance because it looked too much like making love or something, or vice versa. We couldn't play cards. We weren't allowed. I don't know what we were for, but we were against an awful lot of shit.
You heard the word "no" a lot, I take it.
We heard the word "no" a lot, and there was always some whispering going on at the table when there was an unpleasantry popped up. And I was one of 5 kids, but I come from a bunch of storytellers, and they had, and I don't know if you've met many people that grew up in Kentucky, but almost all of Kentuckians are a little bit like Canadians. They're very self-deprecating. They're almost apologizing for even being there, you know? So, but we all have a pretty good sense of humor, and but I come from a bunch of storytellers. So there was nothing they liked better than getting a prank on somebody or telling a funny story at their expense. It happened at their expense. So we laughed a lot growing up, and it was a little bit different, you know, going to church and being real serious about that. My dad was a preacher, and he didn't wear it on his sleeve. He went to a job as a factory worker, and I don't think anybody he worked with knew he was a preacher, except they knew not to cuss around him.
I've worked in factories, and if you can shut down cursing in a factory,
Hell, man, that's a piece of work right there.
Yeah, that's actually a harder job than lifting something on a pallet for 12 hours.
Yeah, it really is.
It's good.
My dad, his only F word, the thing he got closest to cussing was when he was in pain or he was really mad about something. He yelled, "Foot to it, foot to it." Have you ever heard of that? I don't know.
Yeah, I actually have. Yeah.
Your grandpa, maybe. I bet. I mean, we come from you say you grew, your grandparents were from the South?
Yeah. Yeah. Carolinas.
Yeah.
The funniest, I just got a kick out of the almost curse words he would rattle out.
That's right.
And my cousin and I sat on the table, and with our little young voices, we realized that when we said the word ask,
yeah,
it sounded like ass.
Yeah.
But nobody picked up on it until we realized that it sounded like it and went too far with it. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to ask somebody. I know they come in with the stick. I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I know what you're both doing. Now, as you get older now, so now you were a little kid, you were drawing, now you become a teenager, and obviously the skill level is infinitely higher at this point. What about classes? Did you take art classes?
Yeah. They did have art classes in Kentucky, and my art teacher was one of my favorite teachers, obviously, and she wrote excuses for us to get out of other classes to come hang out with her during art class, especially when you're like a junior and senior. But yeah, I got to be known as the kid who drew stuff, and so I found out I think it was in middle school, I had discovered Mad Magazine, and I was trying to replicate some of those cartoons in Mad Magazine. So I was filling my my notebooks filled with these cartoons, and I'd get a notebook. It had my homework assignments in it and notes I took in class and stuff like that. But at the end of a semester, I could sell my notebooks for the little Mad Magazine looking cartoons for about, a really good thick notebook might bring me $1. So it was, so that was kind of fun.
That's an interesting thing, because I mean it's when you have a skill and you have it, and at this point, obviously by this age, this is what you're going to be doing. You're going to be doing art. This at this point. But did you know?
I never really knew it until somebody actually started paying me. Somebody offered me a job to do it. I really thought I was going to have to come up with something else, because I couldn't believe anybody would actually get paid for drawing cartoons. Or I mean, when I first saw my first editorial cartoon, I thought that was amazing that was actually in print, and that somebody got paid to do that. But I never really thought that was what's in it for me. I didn't know. The only successful artists I'd ever heard of were, like Van Gogh, and he had to cut off an ear and send it to a prostitute, and then he died. I figured I'd have to fake a death and cut off both ears and send them to prostitutes before I'd get any recognition.
Well, that's what I do on the weekends. So
yeah.
It's just a really weird thing that you had this, you had the skills. You could see that it's there. That's at least the beginnings of it, but it never. I can relate to that. Sometimes you have that thing and you love it. And you figure, well, this is going to be my hobby while I do the job.
It's interesting that when I actually first started talking, then a little bit later on, and people started laughing, I thought that was really cool too. So I always thought that would be a great fun. And I've dabbled in comedy stuff a little bit when I go out and speak in public. So I dabble in that, and it's a lot of fun. But as a little kid, like you said, you were it's pretty much you were tuned into that, weren't you? You wanted to.
Oh yeah. It's like just like you with the notepad when you were drawing. I had the little recorders, and I was doing voices and characters into the recorder, and that was exactly how I got shut the hell up. It's like, just get a bag of batteries and hand him a recorder, just push him in the other room. And then it shoved me in the, it was the same thing. It was exactly the same thing.
That's funny. When this is going to disturb some people, but especially before the pandemic, I was asked to go talk to school kids quite a bit. Mm-hmm. I was actually led into schools to talk to the children.
Yeah.
And what I tell them is that I think we're hitting on it right now, that who you are and what eventually what you're going to do as a profession is something that's already inherently in you for the most part, probably.
Mhm.
School is a good thing to let you hone your skills and learn how to communicate and stuff like that. But if you're a comedian, you probably are a comedian at 5 years old. If you're going to be an artist, you've already got that going on. And who you are is kind of who you are before school gets a hold of you.
Yeah, somebody told me when I was a little kid, they said, whatever you were doing at 8, you know what I mean? What you're doing at 8 is probably what you're going to wind up doing. And I'm going, I was kneeling in front of a couch with a recorder doing voices into a recorder.
Yeah.
You know, and now 52 years old, I'm sitting in a chair doing voices into
there
a microphone.
Go. Well, look, that's great. That's perfect.
It's just the weirdest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, no one's giving me any free batteries like back then, those cheap bastards. I got to buy my own batteries.
I'm just glad it's not what you're most into at 15, because then we'd all just be masturbating the whole time.
Well, I hate to tell you, but right now, never mind. So,
wait a minute. Hey.
That's why the camera's off. So,
well, I'm flattered, actually.
Oh man, the thing I'm thinking right now is that there are people that normally listen to this. I know there's going to be some new people coming to listen to this, and they're going to go, "Oh, those two are weird."
They'd be right,
and it'd be true. I was going to say we actually own that, and there's get used to it, because you're going to hear it for a little while longer. So when you got to, and now you go high school, now you go to college. Now what happens?
Well, I was undecided as a major for a couple of years, and actually I was the first one in my family that went to college and finished it that I know of. And I almost signed up for the military and decided to go again, because I didn't know what I was going to do. Seriously, I really didn't know what I was going to do. And I went to, there was a fellow that was recruiting for the National Guard. And I went and had a meeting with him, and he was all up. Yeah, you got to come do this and so forth. And I said, well, okay. Because I was really on the fence. Going to college was something wasn't necessarily what you had to do in my family. I'd wanted to, and I thought about it, but I thought about the National Guard, and I also had my fundamentalist father who was swearing we're about to go to war, and he said, you either need to get in the National Guard so you don't have to go actually to the war, or I will claim that you need to help me on the farm to keep you out of the war. The war that never happened. This was 1970, 77, 78, something like that.
Yeah, we kind of just finished one at that point. And
yeah,
I think we're like, you know what? We're good on the war thing for a while, buddy. You know, but I can understand it. You know, it's like, you know, people forget the sacrifices that people make when whether they go overseas or the National Guard. Because in either case, you know, you're going to be someplace where it's very, very dangerous, or some kind of natural disaster comes. So it's going to be dangerous no matter what you do.
Exactly. And he thought the National Guard would be a better option than being on the front lines somewhere that was never came to be. But anyway, I went back to the second day of that recruitment, and the guy pulled me off to the side and he said, dude, I'm not going to lie to you. You're a pretty good artist. I've seen, you know, my little brother goes to school with you, so he knows you a little bit, and you need to pursue your art. You need to go to college and just kind of pursue that. So that was a little bit of advice. And we were talking about factory work earlier. I got one of my summer jobs was at a factory, and I was getting paid more money than I'd ever seen in my life at that point, because I didn't have any money. So I made quite a bit of money in the summer, and those guys I was working with, these guys that I was 18, 19, and these guys are in their 30s, and I was just hanging out with these older guys and having a big time. And they said, we can get you on here. And one of the bosses came over to me and said, you know, we'd hire you in a second. Said, everybody loves you, but dude, man, you've got something these people don't have. You've got a skill that we can't teach. You need to finish your college. You can't be hanging around this factory anymore. So along the way, I got a lot of good advice. So I did go to school, and the fella that was drawing the editorial cartoons for the campus newspaper was doing a lot of really racist stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually it caught up with him, and he quit it because he was getting threatened, and he should have been, because he was drawing. I mean, I don't know why the editor of the paper let some of that. Here I am, I'm always against censorship, but he was right. He was, we're in the South, and he's drawing some pretty racist stuff. Mm-hmm. And I said, I think I can do that job without offending half our campus. And so I took that job on the campus as the editorial cartoonist, and that worked out pretty good. I started winning awards for that, and I said, well, maybe this is something. And
whoa, hold a second.
Yeah,
you won awards before you started doing my show?
Yeah, I won
oh
some,
my God.
It's like statewide or regional awards. Yeah, and before. So I did win awards before I knew you, but I figure you had something to do with that too.
I was going to say, man, come on.
That was before podcasts. Otherwise, that would have happened.
Oh, okay. Well, that's acceptable. But how does that feel? Because you're drawing. You're good at art. People around you, especially when you get compliments and people are nudging you, and it's not solicited. It's not like you went, "Hey, what do you think of this?" These are people who are spontaneously going, "Dude, draw."
Yeah.
So when you get unsolicited compliments and nudges, first of all, that's obviously that had to been pretty cool to hear that in general. I mean, just spontaneous compliments like that.
Yeah, or they just didn't want me working for them.
Yeah, I was trying to help you out there. Yeah, I was.
Yeah, thanks. yeah, you're a basically they're saying you're a pansy, you're a little pansy artist. You need to follow that up, man. You can't be hanging out with real men. So
yeah, I was trying to get around that, but now we're gonna get in there. Yeah, get out of there. We don't want this punk in here. Get out and go.
Yeah. Well, the best thing is anybody laughing, and when they're supposed to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I was
or even when they're not.
Oh yeah. Oh. Well, that's the funny thing about it is when you put out something funny, you have to. What's the turnaround time at that point between when you draw it and then when people react to it?
Well, it's a lot different now. It's pretty immediate nowadays, because it's everything I do I put online before it ever sees print. It goes right online to my website, and I put it on Facebook and social media, and people start reacting to it pretty quickly. And a lot of it's supposed to be funny, and then we're living in some pretty fiery times, so a lot of it isn't funny. Mm-hmm. So I get a lot of vitriol as well as the laugh, the ha ha stuff, but I get a lot of response immediately now. In the old days, I would draw a cartoon and hand it in to the guy or the woman who was going to actually put it on the page, and I went home. I didn't have to write a headline. I didn't have to write an essay that went with it, and it came out in the morning paper. Mm-hmm. And so I might get a few responses around the newsroom. Oh, you ought to see what JD drew today. Wait till you see tomorrow. We'll get some reaction tomorrow. Or I would get that kind of response, but it would take the next day before I would actually start getting hateful calls or hateful emails, or mostly letters to the editor. So nowadays it's pretty immediate. Back in the old days, it took a while.
I just imagine some guy. You just said you got the phone calls. I just imagine some guy being so ticked off by the work. I'm gonna call this stranger up right now and give him a piece of my mind.
Yeah.
You dirty sassafras and Jehoshaphat and sassafras and mother jumping sassa Javanka. Even in today's times when I see things that are obviously ridiculously bad, I still have no intention of picking up a telephone. What's that artist's phone number? You rotten mother jumping jacket the fight. I can't do it.
I've gotten some of those phone calls, but now that they're replaced by nasty emails and texts from my family. But
do you still carry around that really bad? You used to have maybe you used to have a piece of paper. I don't know if you still had it, yeah, but like the really attacking comment on it.
Oh yeah, you want me to read that?
You still have it?
I do.
As a matter of fact, I do want to hear it again because I don't remember.
Okay. Yeah. Now, when I'm talking in public, like I'm kind of doing right now, I'll keep that pretty close by, because it's kind of a combination of a lot of the stuff I heard when I actually, most of it happened when I first took this job in Alabama, 20 years ago. So, and I always got to say, because I take it out of my pocket and I read it, and I'm going to read it right now. So anytime I read something out loud, I got to apologize for it, because where I come from, reading anything out loud is just showing off, and I really don't mean to be showing off. But here's all these things were actually said to me at one point. J.D. Crowe, you are the sludge at the bottom of the septic tank of journalism. You and your lying communist, homosexual loving, anti-Christian, scumbag, lily-livered liberals can pull up your big girl panties and go straight to hell. Have a blessed day.
Well, all right.
Yeah.
That's some colorful writing right there.
Yeah, they come up with some good stuff, and no, I need to keep up with. I need to have I could fill a whole book with some of the negative comments I got, and they all make my heart just swell with pride.
That's the funny thing is about when you're doing something and you realize you're, one, accurate, two, on the right side of history, three, the person writing you is an idiot. So, when I get stuff, I'm not on the podcast, I don't get anything negative on the podcast, but like on Twitter or something like that, they really don't realize that I just don't care.
Just don't care. Exactly.
You're not hurting my feelings. You want people to be treated good. You stinking rotten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know the feeling. It's like, let's throw this out there and see what idiots show up.
Well, the thing is,
who salutes this? We know exactly who they are, what they're about when they come out. They show themselves. Mm-hmm. So I love it.
No,
I love it.
When you have when you have to draw something now, how many times a week do you put out a drawing? Well,
it comes out to about an average of 4 to 5, and then back in the old days I would draw 5 cartoons a week, but I didn't really, I didn't have to write the headline, I didn't have to write a little essay that goes with it, I didn't have to physically do the backstage work where it goes up on the online. Mm-hmm. And so that takes some time, and it takes more thought actually. So nowadays it's about 4 days a week usually. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's a little less, but I'm working around the clock most of the time. Especially now working at home. We're just it just feels like I'm always at work. So that's the long answer to
you're really speaking my language because of everything. It's like I have a different setup now. Before it was just this little thing, and now that it's it's like I get up and I'm going, I'm in the office now.
Yeah.
Good God, man.
Well, I'm sure we're speaking a little bit of the same language. Yeah. I'm always at work. Yeah, you're always at work, but it's work we enjoy, so we're really never at work.
Yeah, it's just okay, 95% of the time. Let's be real, but the other 5%, get this crap out of my face. You just want to sweep it onto the floor.
How's it been for you, dude? With how did everybody working at home, the whole pandemic, that everything?
Oh God! I mean, as a person who tells jokes to drunk people, who I love, by the way, so when I let the audience know that I of course love them very, very much.
And they're all drunk by now, anyway.
That's right. You're all high now. It's after 8 o'clock. Yeah. You people stink. I'm just kidding. But the thing about it is that I've with the 2 podcasts that I do, this one is a show with guests, and there's the other one, which is just me. it's I've accelerated the amount of work that I've created, and it basically all it did was let me know just how much stuff I could create if I was left alone.
Yeah.
That's the thing I noticed. It's like, oh, I can do this amount. Oh, did not realize that, you know.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
also, hey, sometimes, and then you realize that sometimes that when you churn out a lot of stuff, you have to chuck about 10% of it into the trash can because it sucks.
Yeah.
you know, you go,
Yeah.
hey, this blows, and you have to throw it in the trash. But
You had to go through that 10% to get to the rest of it. And if you've only got 10%, you're doing pretty good.
yeah, but unfortunately, the 10% always comes out first. The rotten.
Well,
It jumps to the. I wouldn't mind if it was mixed in there a little bit, but it's almost like
yeah.
the 10% of work that blows it actually is the grist for the mill. It's like I'm going to suck for about an hour. There's the good stuff. All right, fantastic. It's like when the water's turned off and you turn it back on and that brown crap comes out for 5 minutes. It's kind of like that, because now tell me.
I see that brown crap come out of me all day long.
I'm curious. I was going to ask you, it's like, I mean, when you draw something, you look at it and you're going, oh, nope, crunch. And
Yeah.
But what I wanted to know is because you do 4 or 5 per week, you have local politicians and you have the national politics.
Yeah.
What is your ratio between because obviously you got to hit the local politics. I mean, it's right in front of you.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So what's the ratio?
Well, I try to judge. It's 100% of what people are talking about, whether it's local or whether it's national,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe not quite 100%. Sometimes I find a topic or an issue that nobody is talking about enough, and I'll bring it up. But in Alabama, man, let's just say Trump was never elected. Alabama is nuts enough. I mean, I've got enough material just in Alabama when there's not a Trump involved. and said since Trump was the president, it just gave a voice to all these people in Alabama who've been pretty quiet on the inside. Now it's like, okay, we really can say what we really feel and what we say, the things we really think.
Mm.
It's just nuts again. I mean, but to answer your question, I'm as a statewide cartoonist, I'm usually trying to find the Alabama angle to things, but most of the time it's even if it's not a specifically local issue or a specifically local politician, it's something people are talking about. And like right now, the Marjorie Taylor Greene and the Matt Gaetzes and stuff, and those people they may as well be Alabamians. Alabama love those people. So
yeah, it's a really weird. Even in the liberal enclave that I live in now, and was raised in, I started to see a little bit of when the former president, who still thinks he's president, when he was in office, I started to see. Obviously, it was not a lot. I mean, you're not going to see a lot of weird stuff in New Jersey. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You're not going to have the KKK run through New Jersey. I mean, that wouldn't be the smartest thing in the world. But it was just a really weird thing when you watched, because I was a kid, I always got a kick out of politics, even as a child, because I just it was before Twitter and Facebook and social media. Politics was essentially the only way you could really get an idea of what the hell the country looked like and what they thought. You just had an idea of what your neighbors thought. You don't know what the hell people in Texas are thinking, in Florida. You don't know what they're thinking until there's an election. And then you go, oh, so this is what everyone's thinking.
That's where they are.
You're like, oh, okay. So, what the percentage of a-holes? Okay, now we know, but the thing is, it's just a weird process to watch it. And now, because everyone has access to everybody, you have Twitter, you have Facebook. It's still an echo chamber because the algorithms on these things, whatever you look at the most, they're going to keep shoving down your throat.
Exactly.
But it's just a weird thing to watch. Because I was looking at your Big Lie illustration. Yeah. And I got a kick out of that for obvious reasons, but also, I just imagine what you have to hear when you're sitting down at a diner drinking a cup of coffee, what you hear around you.
Oh, yeah. No, I've got a lot of messages today. Big lie? What big lie? What are you talking about? The big lie is from the other side. That I got a lot of those emails and feedback today. So can you? Oh, I had one beautiful one. It was about 12 inches long. That didn't sound right. Take that out of context. Don't
I
say
was going
that.
to say, we were going back to
Yeah.
the video thing again. What the hell's going on?
Talking about an email here. And it started off with something like, you can't prove it's a big lie. You can't prove it. You can't prove it wasn't a hoax. You can't prove it wasn't a fraudulent election. You can't prove that. So it's like, and it just got worse as it went on. But,
You know what the weird thing is the people who are really loud, angry, aggressive. You just kind of go, well, you're never going to convince this person. It's just not going to happen. But the one that literally comes up to you or writes you in a reasonable, reasoned tone, but still believes the same stuff, it's like, because
it's disheartening. But if somebody writes me a legitimate, reasonable, rational email and they're really asking questions, I'll respond to that. The other nonsense, I just don't give them the time of day. I get a little, like we were talking about earlier, I take a little pride in that. I got them to come up and say who they are and what they are. I understand. I see you needed to hear this, or you didn't need to hear it, but I know who you are. And so
is that's not even, but the one you have in your pocket, that's not even the worst one you've gotten, I'm assuming.
Oh, geez, no.
I mean,
no.
That's just the most colorful one, I guess.
The funny that was it starts off, the one I have in my pocket, it starts off with, JD, you are the sludge at the bottom of the septic tank of journalism. That was like the most priceless the most priceless line. And I remembered that one because it was when I first started working at the paper in Alabama. I've been working in San Diego, California for years, and I got this, and nobody responded to anything. In California, nobody reads the newspaper unless it rains, and it never rains.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. I lived out there in the 90s, and it was like, I was one of the few people, and I would spend time at newsstands, but there would be 4 people at the damn newsstand.
Yeah. So people didn't get cranky until the weather was bad. So when I got to Alabama, I thought I was in Mecca. Everything I did got these responses, either good or bad, immediately. And it was just like such rich writing, this hatred, and I just loved it. So it's been a good place for me.
Well, how did you? Because you wound up in San Diego, you were in Los Angeles. How in the blue hell did you get to San Diego and Los Angeles?
That's probably the best one.
By the way, you can probably tell by that last statement that I do have relatives from down south, by the way.
Yeah. I worked when I was in Texas. One of the fellows I worked with, one of the editors I worked with, he said, "You're going to you're going to California. That's just the only reason. The only nuts live. God pulled up the quilt of America and spread it out, and all the nuts wound up in California. You're going out there." But I wrote a little bit in a story earlier this year about how I met Dr. Seuss, and that kind of goes into how I wound up in California. I'd gotten this job in Texas, and I was wet behind the ears, and these people hired me to draw cartoons. I was happy as I could be. I loved it. These people were just funny, and Texas was great. Lots of ignorant politicians there too, and I thought I'd never leave. And we went up to San Diego for a cartoonist convention, and the way it was, and this was in the 80s, it was always a kind of a game of musical chairs. Cartoonists are always looking to go somewhere else. And so everybody was applying for a job that had just come open in San Diego. And so I went out there at the convention, and all the cartoonists were there. And so it was like, we were all just making paths to that office to get and I jumped in a cab with 4 of my best buddies to go out there to apply for the same job.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Interview for the same job. And we
imagine.
were laughing all about it. And it never dawned on me that, that I actually had a chance. So a few months later, after we went back to Fort Worth from San Diego later that year, I got a call back. And I said, damn. My attitude when I was young was like, I just didn't give a shit. I liked what I was doing. I did like what I was doing, and I did give a shit. But it was like, I don't care if you like me or not, but I want to make sure that who I work for appreciates me and gets me.
Mm-hmm.
So during an interview, I'm probably the worst interview in the world because I'm saying stuff I shouldn't be saying during an interview.
Mm-hmm. And
so I went out there for the interview for this, and I was sitting there in San Diego, California, talking to the executive editor and 2 or 3 other people I might possibly be working for. And I'm wearing a suit jacket and my Converse, my Chuck Taylor Converse. And during the interview, I was reached in my inner pocket for some reason, and I found a prop that I didn't know I had. It was an eye patch, and like a pirate's eye patch I'd probably had for a Halloween party or something. Mm-hmm. And so in the middle of that interview, I put it over one of my eyes and went on, and the interview kept going, and nobody said anything. And I took it off and put it over the other eye, and just kept going, and nobody said a word, not a wink or a blink. And so after the interview, I took it off and shook their hands, and next thing I know, they wanted me to go meet the publisher.
I'll be honest with you. If I was switching eye patches and they still hired me, yeah, I'd have to keep my eye on those people.
I mean, they didn't smile, they didn't laugh. It was the weirdest thing. And so I went to meet the big boss lady, and the man who was driving the car was the executive editor. And as we got closer there, he started getting kind of nervous, and he said, I don't want to scare anything, but the best thing for you to do is not to say too much during this interview. I think we're everything's good, but just try not to say too much. Well, that just made my heart and just blow up. And I said, okay, I'm setting up for an awkward moment here because this guy doesn't want anything out of me from here on in because he thinks they're going to hire me. Mm-hmm. So I love nothing better than an awkward moment. And so I go in to meet the publisher, and she's a lady in her 60s and kind of a stern looking woman. And when I go in to meet her, she's backlit by the sun behind her desk. And it was she was a black silhouette, and I couldn't even see her face. Very intimidating looking. Mm-hmm. And so then we went and sat down and talked. It was her and I and the executive editor. And she didn't really talk to me much. She was just talking to him and back and forth to the editor. And towards the end, she said, "Well, JD, if you're coming aboard, will we ever have any trouble out of you?" And I should have said, "Oh no, ma'am." Is what I was expected to say. I should have said, "Well, hell yeah, I'm a cartoonist. You're going to have a lot of trouble out of me if I'm doing my job." Yes. What I did say was something like this. I said, "Ms. Copley, if you ever have any trouble out of me, please feel free to come down to the office and give me a spanking in front of the whole newsroom." Mm-hmm. My executive editor's life, his soul left his body and went to the ceiling. There was just total silence. And he was
How many seconds?
It was a long time. It was the most beautiful, awkward moment I think I'd ever been a part of. And finally, she looked at him instead of me, and she said, "Well, if there's ever any trouble out of you, Mr. Morgan here will get the discipline, I assure you." And so
it would have been funny if she pulled out an eye patch and put it on in front of you.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been awesome.
We like to hide guys, and let's be honest. I'm telling you right now, that silhouette with the light coming from behind her head, is no way in hell that was an accident.
Oh hell no! No. There have been many meetings before that that it was like going into the henchman, but I was just loving it. I mean, I said, okay, this can't be any better. But yeah, that was exactly right. You're exactly right.
The funny thing about it is a lot of times when you go into these interviews, or in my business, auditions, and you just don't give a crap. It's like, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to enjoy doing this because I enjoy doing this. It's like when you get older, when you're dating older, and it's like, you're either going to like me or you're not. I am not going to be at home crying if you don't answer the phone.
Yeah, there's no time to mess around and be something you're not. And that's one thing I had when I was younger. I think now I'm like, I don't know. I don't give a shit for other reasons now. But it was like,
now, this is what I want to ask you, because like, you're in a different region of the country than some of the other people that I spoke with, and we were talking a few moments ago about everybody having to stay home to work. Yeah. Did you have much of a commute before the pandemic?
Yeah, I had before the pandemic, I was going to my office every day, 5 days a week, and it's about a half an hour drive or maybe a little more sometimes. And I always looked at that as I could listen to the radio, or I could try to get my thoughts going, listen to the news or whatever. And it's not a big deal. Mm-hmm.
So
what I found is,
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. We had a cartoonist Zoom meeting with other cartoonists, and we all kind of agreed on this. As far as what the pandemic is, we're all kind of working at home. We've all worked at home anyway. I would go into the office and socialize a little bit and try to get my cartoon idea. I'd come home and draw it most of the time, because when we're actually drawing the thing, we're rocking out. I mean, I've got I'm working at home. I'm rocking out. And I'm focused and I'm tuned in. But if I'm at the office, there's all these voices around. Newsroom is a great place to be. Mm-hmm. I miss the camaraderie in a newsroom. I miss the buzz when there's a big story. Mm-hmm. But other than that, when I'm actually drawing and I'm focused on what I'm doing, I'm alone. I'm at home usually most of the time. And so this hasn't been a big leap. We're all basically hermits when we're kind of mavericks when the cartoonists are we don't have a lot of team meetings. We do what we do and everybody else does what they do, and what they do feeds us material. Mm-hmm. But and it's great to be in a newsroom with the buzz and the camaraderie. But when it comes right down to it, we're all cartoonists. I think have weathered pretty well. This has kind of been our wheelhouse. I think.
Yeah.
Working alone, working at home.
Well, the thing is, what you do and what I do pretty much can't be affected. you know, it's like everything else is affected, and it's like, it affect you? Nah.
Yeah.
It's like, it really didn't change anything. It's like, before the pandemic,
but it's not a change. But I mean, I'm interested in what you do, because it's not far removed from. We're very similar in that stuff, but as a comedian and not being able to go out and engage live audiences, that's tough.
That's a huge pain in the butt. Yeah.
I've noticed you've done some what I would call like monologues on your podcast. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to do that if you don't have a live audience, and I admire you for that. You got to kind of. I mean, that's got to be an issue.
It all stems from my little weird self at 8 years old.
Yeah.
Kneeling in front of that chair with the mic, with the with the cassette tape player and the batteries,
So that's who you are.
Yeah. But the thing about that is that that specific podcast, the other podcast, is just, I don't have to, what I learned from radio, from writing, is stand-up is basically kind of like the condensed version of things, where it's like, you just kind of chop out everything that isn't leading to the funny thing. Anything that's extraneous has got to go. When you do a podcast or you write, you can actually build the story out more. You can inject different things into it, and it can expand. So it's a little different, and it's a different skill set altogether, because I know that when this pandemic hit, that's the first thing I noticed. Like, okay, I can't pick up the microphone for right now. Okay. But I still got substitute podcast, so I'm going to be fine, and the audience is still going to be able to hear me. I'm still going to be able to be in contact with them, and then when this crap goes away, I'll just jump right back out, and they'll go, "Hey, you gained 15 pounds," and then I'll tell them to shut the hell up. You know, but let me ask you this: Did you what was it like? Some of the people I talked to in different areas of the country when it came time for the pandemic, when this was happening, and then all of a sudden the vaccine started rolling out. Some people, like where I am in New Jersey and down in Philly, the second they said they had a vaccine, we're all like, "Yeah, I'm now rolling my shirt up. Just jam that thing in there so I can get back to my life."
Exactly.
But some places, some people I know were like, some people I still know are like, "No, I'm not getting that. No. I'll never take it. Never."
Well, most of those people were wearing the red hats. Let's just be honest about that. So, yeah, there's a lot around here that won't take it.
Did you get jammed in the arm?
They won't take the. Well, Alabama's it's like one of the worst places in the United States as far as percentage wise. Mm-hmm. I forget what the last one I heard was like 27%, and everybody seems like that's good. I don't know. But there's a lot of resilience because of who initially didn't want to, because of
they do know that he actually secretly got it, right?
Yeah. I don't think that was from the lamestream media leaking something they shouldn't have did anything about.
That's like that phrase right there brings back bad memories.
Yeah,
it makes me go, "Look, Mr. McCain, come on, bro."
Yeah.
John, come on, you're a smart guy.
But what gets me is how much different would it have been if for some reason Donald Trump has decided this is a real threat and everybody should be vaccinated. Mm-hmm. He could have had all these and he could have had all these red face masks with "Keep America Great Again." They would have all fell in line,
and he would have made lots of money,
and we wouldn't be at 600, whatever it was, 600,000 deaths.
That's the thing. That's the thing I never understood. It's like, even if you're the biggest, what in the world, when you have and this is a bad way to put it, but if you have an opportunity, because some people just take tragedies and use them. Sometimes you take a tragedy will happen and you use it, but it's in a good way. You'll see a problem and you'll go, "Wait, we need to take this awareness and solve this problem because under normal circumstances people aren't paying attention to it." But this is one of those situations where I'm going, dude. I really don't agree with you on anything except for the spelling of your name, but this is something that you can do right now because all of the people that like you will follow you, and the other people that don't like you were like, "Well, we were going to do it anyway because we believe in science." So, so you literally have everybody, but sometimes certain people just won't do it.
No, it went against his nature.
Mm-hmm. And that I don't get. I don't get it. I don't understand it.
No, I don't either. And you're not you have a soul, so we're dealing with somebody.
This is last time I checked, yeah. I have to renew it every 6 months, but yeah.
Of course. Got to go down to DMV and get it all registered again, but
Oh, hey, this is I do it online now. What is wrong with you? Right. I hate the DMV RAM is this. Oh my God, man. It's like the only saving grace is the fact that I am an entertainer, which means my hours are completely different from everyone else. So I can go at weird times and slide in there. But when I was working in an office, boy.
Yeah.
But, now I'm assuming, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm not. I'm assuming that you got jammed in the arm with some anti-sick juice, did you?
Yeah. We got. We were anxious to get it. Mm-hmm. We got double vaccinated with Pfizer.
Oh, Pfizer.
Got two injections of Pfizer.
Yeah, I got the double Moderna action.
Oh, did you? I thought Moderna was one shot.
No, that's J&J.
Oh, J&J is one shot. Yeah, that's right. You're right.
I came close to getting J&J, but the day before I was going down, guess what the news said? A bunch of people have dropped dead. Don't take the J&J, whatever you do. If your name is S. Anthony Thomas, please do not go down there. they emailed me and said, no, we can't. No. And then they switched me over to Moderna. And did you get, my sister got Moderna, and it put her down hard. She called me up. I was down for 30 hours. I was like, well, nobody couldn't. I was like, I was about to go to your house, see what the hell's going on, But she's okay. Everybody in your family's okay. Oh yeah, everybody's fine. And here's the thing: everybody else that in the family got the shot. I got both Moderna shots. Not only did I not have any side effects, my arm didn't even hurt.
Oh, that's great.
Nothing. And well, that is great in a practical sense. But on the other side of it, I cleared out a bunch of shows and interviews I was supposed to do for 4 days just in case.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden I'm going, you know what? I should be laying in bed and shivering and vomiting right now. So I'm going to put some ice on myself and stick my fingers down my throat because this is like, what the hell is this? But it was a good thing. Did the Pfizer get to you? Did it knock you out?
It was a kind of a letdown for you then. No, it wasn't bad. The first one, I think the first shot was nothing. It just felt like getting a real shot. The arm was just a little bit sore, but not nothing. I mean, the second day was nothing. And when I got the second shot, I was a little bit tired the next day. Mm-hmm. Just a little bit tired. I couldn't keep my eyes open. I kept falling asleep. But my left foot was hurting. So I don't know what that was all about. Sometimes when I do a lot of hiking or something, that maybe it's just the weakest. Maybe it seeks out the weakest part. Mm-hmm. That my left foot's not my weakest part, by the way. But but for some reason, my left foot just really started hurting. And I don't know if that had anything to do with the shot or not. But that's all. My wife had a migraine. Oh yeah, that's another one of those. It didn't put her down at all. Just a migraine. No, I wouldn't put her down for the migraine. There's been a few times I wanted to take her to the veterinarians to put her down, but it wasn't because of the migraine. But what's going to be funny is when you call me tomorrow and go, remember that joke I did about my wife and the vet? Can you cut that out? That was not worth it. Yeah, just cut that, please. And I'm going to go, no, deal with it. I've gotten a bunch of when I have entertainers on. Of all stripes, they always say something, and it's hilarious. It's like that joke was funny, but I always immediately think, because I've known and I've said things on podcasts when I was in relationships, and I thought it was just an innocuous little joke. It was an obvious joke, and I don't even tell the girl about it. And then the episode comes out 4 weeks later. I forgot what I said. Right? So, and you just say, it was out of context. It was out of context. Yeah, I love your mother. Because the thing is, if it's amazing because you'll say the same thing if she's sitting there when you say the joke. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah. If 4 weeks goes by, then the episode finally comes out. All of a sudden, you're going. It just. It just sneaks in like somebody walked in, passed gas, and walked out and left you with the. It's like, why'd you leave me with this aroma, bro? And the person that left you with the aroma is you 4 weeks earlier. So, and that's the part that sucks. Well, I'll leave it up to you if you want me to leave. If you're going to leave me with a stink bomb or not. All I'm saying is, listen, you've been married a long time. You have to take the beating just like everybody else. I'm sorry, I just got to leave. And besides, that's not even the weirdest thing we've both said on this show. No. If anything was going to get cut out, would be the jokes about the video. Yeah. But they won't be cut out. So we got to up our game a little bit. That's what I'm saying. We have to be a little bit weirder than normal. Yeah. Now, what was that award? Now, when you were on the first time, you guys won. What was the award you won the first time you were on the show? That would have been the Rex Babin Memorial Award for it's given by our group of editorial cartoonists. Mm-hmm. It's a national award that recognizes local state cartoons,
Mm-hmm.
because so many times there's no award that recognizes the good local cartoonist that's doing his job and trying to keep his job by doing local cartoons. So we came up with that from my one of my very, very best friends of all time. His name was Rex, and he died way too soon.
Mm-hmm.
And he was an advocate for, as I was and still am. He was one of the first, not one of the first, but he kind of kept the flame going for good local editorial cartooning, because that's where we have our most impact. Mm-hmm. So I was really, really, that meant a lot to me to get that award named after one of my very best friends.
Yeah.
And this last award also means a lot to me. It was the RFK Humanitarian Award for editorial cartoons. Yeah.
Now, did that have anything to do with? Because I was looking up some stuff on you online, and I saw that you were doing, which I thought was one of the coolest things, man. It was great. I was like, I watched it like 5 times, back to back to back to back. You were talking to military veterans.
Yeah.
And you were drawing them.
I came up with a project a couple of years. Well, it was not 2019 is when it was. I just wanted, it's always bothered me that there is such a thing as a homeless veteran. Mm-hmm. I mean, here's somebody that's gave their life to serve the country. They should never be homeless again. They shouldn't once they've served their country, they shouldn't have to worry about having a roof over their head. Mm-hmm. So that's always troubled me. So I set out on a mission to try to find as many homeless veterans as I could and interview them and draw their portrait and get to know them a little bit and try to find out if there's some common threads there or not. How'd they wind up homeless? I mean, and if we could find a way to help the ones we found, then that was even better. So it was a good project. Mm-hmm. A very emotional project. We found some amazing stories.
Yeah.
All their stories were different, but all their stories had some similar lines. But it was, I appreciate that. That was part of the package of cartoons that I won that award for. It also included some of the cartoons I've been doing for years here in Alabama about just some bass-ackward, ignorant politicians who treat women wrong, treat minority. There are laws against minorities, and it's kind of they're always coming up with these dystopian laws just to keep women down and minorities and keep them from voting and just how it is. It's just nerve-wracking. So I harp on that stuff a lot, and some of those cartoons was in that package as well.
Yeah, because I was looking for, because I hadn't seen it, and I was watching this. I was like, what is this? And then I saw what you were doing, because some of my buddies are obviously they're older than me. They're Vietnam veterans, and and some, so when I would sit there, when I would talk with them, we're just hanging out. Some of them were comics, some of them were just regular friends, and we'd be sitting there, and I'd be listening to their stories. Now, these guys are not in the same position as the gentleman that you're referring to. I mean, these are the guy works for the phone company. This guy's a comedian. This guy's that, and I would listen to the stories. And when I was listening to what you were hearing from these gentlemen, they sounded almost exactly like my friends, except my friends did not have the unfortunate situation of not having a home. So I'm literally looking at them, and it's like I'm looking at my friends talk, and I'm going, Jesus Lord, man. I mean, it's like that's Marty, that's Bill, that's it's like, good Lord, if something bad happened, that could be them, and that's why I just watched it like 5 times in a row. So I was like, I got it. I could feel it. I could really, really, really feel it when I was watching it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It was a very emotional experience for me, and we were going to continue it, and that's when the pandemic happened, and we just kind of got distracted. I'm not sure if but I want to keep up with some of those fellows. They were just priceless, priceless people, and a lot of them got homes after their interviews.
Now, you know what? I wanted to talk to you just anyway, because I like you and I dig your work. But that right there, what you just said, the simple fact that some of these guys that I saw have houses now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's some big success stories out of that. There's a nonprofit called Housing First down here in Alabama, and they read some of these stories, and they introduced me to some of these people that they were trying to get housing for at that point. And so when that was the initial, they were very helpful in the very first. And so then I found some other ones that needed housing, and they got housing and got help to get on their feet. And but some of the stories are just absolutely amazing and gut wrenching. That was a great project. But yeah, I've tried to keep up with some of those fellows, and most of them have. The ones that land on their feet, the ones that get help, their first response is to help others. Well, so they're on the front lines trying to find other homeless veterans and trying to help them.
Well, the thing is, just like anybody else who is a first responder, which essentially is what they are, these guys and gals are, they respond to the threat. A lot of the people, you see them and you can just tell that, just like when you were born with the gift of drawing, I could make people that I don't know laugh for hours at a time. You can draw every day and create something that people enjoy. Sometimes a person's gift is the ability to just jump in front and help someone.
Yeah.
It's who they are. And that's why they did what they did, and they continue to do it. And that's why, like when you were saying, society, guys, I mean, these people jumping in, they're jumping in front of bullets for us.
Yeah.
So
why would they ever have to worry about food or clothing or shelter again?
That's what I never understood. And that's why, I mean, it was a combination of, like I said, feeling it because I saw my friends' faces in their faces.
Yeah.
Being extremely angry at the same time. And now, fortunately, and I'm really glad that I got an opportunity to ask you about that, because that makes me happy. It really does. I mean,
that was definitely a highlight of that. One of the highlights of what I do, just reaching out and going beyond the stupid editorial cartoons where I'm poking fun at politicians. Doing something like that was really, I'm glad I was able to do that. Yeah.
My friend, I don't know what award you're going to get before the next time I have you on.
Hey, this might be it.
I think you're going to get an award before you come on again for this episode.
Okay. Okay, I see what you're saying. I'm still under pressure.
This is going to be hilarious. I'm going, hey, JD, I would like you to come back on. It's Anthony. I just won an award for helping people and being on S. Anthony's last show.
Yeah, that's right. I'll take it.
JD, I want to thank you for coming on, man. It was a pleasure talking to you, as it always is, and in addition to it just being great talking to you, because I dig your work and I like you a lot and I respect you. That last piece right there, that is I know this is going to sound corny, and I apologize to people listening, because I usually try to keep things a little lighter, but I mean, what you just said about those guys, having a place to stay, that is already the highlight of the next 7 days of my week. The next week, it already is.
Well, S. Anthony, I always appreciate you. Love our connection, and happy to win an award for you anytime. So
if ever
you keep doing what you're doing, brother.
If you ever find yourself in the finals of an award and you think you don't have a shot, you give me a call. And I'll say, yes, you can come on. You're guaranteed to win the damn award.
Can you book me in about 10 days?
I'm up for something.
Yeah, I'm up for. They're going to announce the Pulitzer sometime this month. So,
okay, hold on. Let's be quiet for 4 seconds. Hold on.
Yeah,
just 4 seconds. Hold on. Okay, we're glad to have JD back. See, now you just won it. I created an additional mini episode just now.
Thank you.
To guarantee you the win.
You're the man.
JD, much love to you. And thank you, my brother. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. And I love talking to you, man.
Much love to you too, my friend.
Okay, take care.
All right. Take care, S. Anthony.
Okay, bye-bye. All right. Now that was fun, wasn't it? Told you. What did I tell you? Have I failed you yet? No. Will I fail you? Also no. Thanks again for all your support. Much love to everybody, and I'll see you again next time. Take care.